Welcome. My name is Al Rodenburg, and this is a new series of podcasts introducing entrepreneurs and business owners from all over the world. Today, I'll be visiting with Rasheed Hooda. Rasheed, did I say your name correctly?
That is correct.
Great. Mr. Hooda spent his childhood in India and Pakistan and came to the United States as a teenager. Consequently, he was exposed to diverse cultures and spiritual traditions of different people, which impacted his life and his way of thinking. He loves to travel and have adventures in life and spent 10 years living and traveling as a nomad. Wow, that's cool. In his minivan that he converted into livable space and dubbed it his mobile domicile.
Mobile
Rashid
domicile.
domicile. Okay. Rashid also walked the entire distance of Route 66 from Chicago to Santa Monica when he was 62 years old. Needless to say, he is one crazy dude and unsurprisingly calls himself Mr. Weirdo. So, wow, I don't know where to start, Rashid. I'm thrilled you're here. And how did you come up with the name Mr. Weirdo? I'm just curious.
Okay. 1984, I went to a summer camp as a counselor.
Hmm.
I was living in Chicago at the time, and the summer camp was in Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
And, as happens, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 1 week of training, 3 weeks of summer camp just kind of flew by and didn't get a chance to make a lot of meaningful connection. And then there was a young lady that I kind of liked. And as luck would have it, we shared a flight from Cleveland to Chicago on the way back. She lived in Vancouver at that time, and she was making a connection in Chicago. So we had a couple of hours and we had a little conversation, getting to know each other a little better.
Awesome.
And somewhere along that conversation, I said something to the effect of, I'm kind of weird like that. And didn't think much of it until on my birthday, a card showed up, and it was not your traditional birthday card. A caricature of a group of green guys standing on one side and a purple guy standing by himself. And the card said, if a being fails to keep pace with its contemporaries, it's because he hears a different drummer. And I opened the card, and inside it says either that or he's a weirdo. So that, I kind of like that. And then 1996, I was opening for a network marketing company's opportunity presentation. And I was asked to write a introduction. And so I wrote the introduction, which initially the host refused to read it, but upon my insistence, she
Wow.
did. She did read it, constantly apologizing to the audience that I'm making her read it. And what
Nice.
the
Nice.
what the introduction said was, our first presenter is a man of many unusual characteristics. Unusual may not be the right word. Weird is more like it. And not only is he weird, he takes pride in the fact that he is weird. And if that's not weird, I don't know what weird is. So please help me welcome the one and only Mr. Weirdo, aka Rasheed Hooda.
There you go. Wow.
So that's the story behind Mr. Weirdo.
All right. Well, let's start out with a little more personal stuff. You said you grew up in India and Pakistan. So, how would your family and friends describe you? What would they say if I was to ask them? How would they describe you?
Um, well, I don't know. I've never really asked them that question. Growing up, I was considered to be the golden child, so to speak. I was expected to uh, be the most successful people in the family, and
Mhm.
much to their chagrin and disappointment, I am not. But that's a different
Well, it
story.
depends
So,
how you measure
um, my,
success, right?
yeah, my nieces and nephews see me as I am, Mr. Weirdo, and they kind of like that. So, my cousins and my uh, brothers, not so much, but that's life.
Yep,
So,
I totally understand. So, when you were growing up, did you perceive your current where you are and what you're doing currently? Did you think that's where you would be at this time in your life?
oh well, uh, short answer would be no.
Hmm.
But honestly, I never really gave it much thought as I was growing up. I have always been a um, go with the flow type person. So
Hmm.
I did not much give attention to where I'm going to be. One thing I knew that I didn't want to live a boring life.
I can understand that. I can relate to that as well.
Yeah.
So, there's a bunch of questions I could ask you. And I think more importantly, what is it that you feel inspired to do right now at this point in your life?
At this point in my life, I am very much inspired to help uh, people in what I call the second half of their life
Hmm.
who are coming to the recognition and realization that they've been sold a bill of goods and it didn't turn out the way it was promised. And
Hmm.
they're kind of confused and lost and frustrated and don't know how to change things, how to adjust, how to make things to where it they can have a meaningful, satisfying life and career. So I say, I work with people who in the second half of their life who want to figure out what they want to be when they grow up. So that's my passion right now is to help those people um, find what's meaningful to them, what excites them deep down inside, which
Right.
they have lost touch with, and make it meaningful and profitable. Profitable is the key word there. That's where my passion is to help them uh, discover a new life
Hmm.
where they're making money doing what they love.
It's almost like a personal consultant of sorts.
Yeah, you could say that. You
Mhm.
could say that. Yeah, my passion is in helping people realize that their life experiences have values that they can tap into and turn it into a residual income.
Got it. What would you consider a turning point in your life? I know you've done a lot of different things. Was there something that all of a sudden you said, this is the way I want to go, or this is how I want to live my life? Because you said in your intro, that you walked from Chicago to Santa Monica. I mean, like, what inspired you to do that? Or was that a turning point in your life?
No, that was a whole lot later. Uh, a kind of a turning point, if I have to pick one, would be when my children graduated from high school. My youngest one graduated from high school,
Hmm.
and my wife and I decided to go our separate ways. So that's when I moved into my van and I hit the road. Because we had talked about wanting to travel and all of that stuff, but she never seemed to be ready for it, and uh, it just turned out it felt the right time, and
Sure.
so I moved into my van and hit the road. So that
Awesome.
was kind of a turning point, or it may be a couple of months before that when I fired my last boss and decided to go uh, commit full time to being self-employed. Man,
Mhm.
which kind of helped out when I decided to hit the road because I had a portable career at that time, which I could work from anywhere.
Right. So, if I recall right, is it a photographer or an artist or both?
Mainly photography. I've dabbled with some painting,
Hmm.
but mostly photographer. Yeah.
Okay. What
Yeah.
types of things do you take photographs of, and what what do what inspires you about that? I guess.
Okay. I have a little thing that I put behind uh, the prints that I sell that says I record the events in my life that touched me,
Hmm.
uh, stirred my that touched my heart and stirred my soul. So anything that calls me, I take a picture of, and I firmly believe it's not the tools; it's the artist that creates the image. So, it's kind of drives me bonkers when somebody says, "Oh, you must have a great camera." Uh, so now I've taken pictures with the old flip phone from years ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've taken pictures with that. I have sold many copies of it, and a picture that I took with that flip phone is also on the cover of my book. So, and
Oh
it's one
wow.
of
You have a book. I didn't know that.
yes.
Oh,
So
what? Tell us about your book.
well, when I was turning 60, I just kind of, it's one of those, fives and tens have a way of kind of getting our attention for whatever reason. And I was almost 60, and I had been thinking about writing a book forever and a day.
Hmm.
And so I said, you know what? I'm going to write 500 words a day for the next 30 days. That's 15,000 words. I had a little intro and this and that, and finishing up touch about 17, 18,000. That'd be a decent sized book. So that's what I did for 30 days. I wrote a story from my life. Whatever came to mind on that day, I wrote it down. Um, that some of the stories were just sitting at 11 o'clock at night, sitting at Whataburger, trying to figure out what am I going to write about, and a song plays on the radio, and then I just started writing about that. And
Sure.
so that's what the book is. It's stories from my life, and the title is Life. It's a trip.
Oh, there you go.
Yep,
Cool. Very nice. So, was there a person in your life that inspired you the most?
my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. I consider him my hero, and the reason I say my dad without even a second thought is because he taught me one thing that has been the most influential in my life.
Hmm.
And he never answered my questions directly. He
Hmm.
would tell me he would tell me how to find the answer,
Yeah.
where to find the answer. So that taught me, you know, no matter what the question is, you can always find the answer for it somewhere. And along the line that I learned that sometimes that somewhere is deep within you rather than in the resources outside
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, what's your goal? What is it you want to achieve at this point?
you. At this point, well, my next stepping stone goal is to
Mhm.
climb Mount Kilimanjaro next year when I turn 70 or before I turn 70.
Hmm.
And my big goal is to climb Mount Everest on my 75th birthday because that falls into the climbing season for the um, Mount Everest climbing season. And I set that goal way back when I wasn't even quite 50 yet. I was in 49 years old, and
Uh-huh.
I was going through changes. That, like I said, that round number comes in, makes you think about things. And
Oh yeah.
uh, at that time, the oldest person on record who had climbed Mount Everest was 66 years old. And I said, "What's 66? That's not. I mean, that's 15 years, 16 years. So yeah, but I figured by the time I get there, somebody older would have made it. So I decided, well, I want to be the oldest person to climb Mount Everest. And I set the goal at 75. I figured by the time I get to 66, it would not hold. So I set the goal at 75. That's already been beat. I think 86 is the oldest one on record right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So
Well, I mean, I've heard of 80-year-olds running marathons, but climbing Mount Everest, phew. Wow.
So, yeah, and the gentleman who did that went back the second time because he was 81 when he did it first, and then somebody beat that, so he went back and did it again.
So I want to ask you as a final question, what's your approach to networking about generating business? Because you're a business person.
Mhm.
How have you determined is the best way for you to do networking? And if you could maybe go into a little bit of depth on that.
Well, it's interesting should ask that question. I used to go to networking event, kind of like going there with the thinking of the idea of finding customers,
Hmm.
and I was like sharing. I knew that the purpose of networking was to build connections who would
Right.
refer you people.
Sure.
But the focus was always, what do I get out of it? Getting that sale. And
Right.
somewhere along the line, I can't pinpoint exactly when it happened or who the influential person was, but I learned that if you forget about the sale and focus on helping people, it will pay off. And now I remember who it was. It was my one of my mentors, John Limbacher, who told me a story about a client of his who came to her to help her fine tune her website to help her sell maternity dresses, which is what she was
Hmm.
doing.
Okay.
And after doing the research, he told her, well, this is a losing battle. Maybe you want to take a different approach to it. And he said, when you sell maternity dresses, you may sell one or two, but that's it. And when the lady is no longer pregnant, well, that's the end of that.
Right.
And if she gets pregnant again, she might just use the old one. Who knows? But he said, here's one way to look at it is if you build a relationship with that person, and when that person has a baby, and if you have done a good job and build a relationship with, then you can make recommendation to her about her needs as a new mother, and could build relationship,
Right.
affiliate relationship with companies and recommend products that the companies would pay you a commission for. But if you build a list of your potential clients right now, even if you don't make a whole lot of profit or make a little profit on the maternity dresses now, look at them as a 18-year long value.
Yeah, marketing cycle or whatever.
Marketing cycle or whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
And at the end of 18, 20 years, one of those babies going to need maternity dresses for in their life and start the cycle all over again.
Right.
So that was a paradigm shift for me. So it's not about making a sale; it's about building relationship and looking at the long-term lifetime value of a customer.
Right. Right. Now, that's a great way to look at it. Well, Rasheed, I appreciate you spending some time with us today, and it's been great to get to know you a little bit better. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience today?
Uh, And I don't know if this is going to be just audio or video.
It'll
But
be
as
audio and video.
Okay. As you can see behind me is my tagline, which
Mhm.
came about from a question my speaking mentor asked me when I was trying to create a keynote speech. And he said, "What would you say to a child in your life that would be your legacy for them to carry forward?" And he said, "Take your time trying to figure that out." I said, "I don't need to. I already know that." And I said, "What I'll tell them is you can create magic and miracles if you trust and embrace your inner weirdo."
All right. Rasheed, thank you so much for spending time with us today.